Welcome back, guys. We are continuing right on where we started with our first episode ever, which we decided to talk about Chicago's true religion, which is food, if you didn't know. And we loaded it up. I think we had like 17 joints alone, and we're still not done. And so we're going to continue on part 2, but the food is really great. And I guess we'll lead in with young Joey here. Where do we want to pick up here? I mean, we covered Italian beef, we covered pizza, both tavern style and deep dish. We covered the Chicago style hot dog.
Yeah.
What else is quintessentially Chicago that these folks need to know about food?
Well, obviously you think about Chicago, you think about the beef, you think about the hot dog, you think about all that stuff. But there is a place on the near southwest side called Rico Benny's.
Yes.
Rico Benny's is a place that serves breaded steak sandwiches.
The Italian breaded steak sandwich.
Right.
I don't know that this exists anywhere else.
I don't either. I've never seen it.
I've never seen it, and it is amazing. You're right. It's south side. It is just south of Old Chinatown. Yeah. So you could basically get off Cermak Chinatown, stop, and walk over.
Right.
It's super accessible.
It's amazing. It's just it's a huge sandwich too.
Yes. It's like this. It's about like this thick around.
Yeah.
It's about that wide and it's about that long. So to give you a sense of.
And it's just a breaded steak sandwich with a bunch of gravy or marinade for all you dagos out there,
right.
And then put some cheese on it, and it's incredible. Get it with some fries or onion rings. Onion rings too are a big thing in Chicago, which I'm starting.
Yeah, like it is funny. I do remember growing up. My dad was just I knew it was a special day, or my dad was feeling like throwing some money around when we had a side of onion rings instead of just fries.
Right.
But that is something that I have noticed. So we're going to Rico Benny's. It's like, holy shit, let me put on my tux.
Right, yeah.
And get a breaded steak sandwich. But let's talk about this sandwich, because this was something I brought some of my family from California to Rico Benny's for the first time this past November.
Okay.
These folks had never had this before.
Yeah.
And I gotta be honest, it had been a minute since I had been down there. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I think for me, the Italian breaded steak sandwich occupies a place in sort of my palate, heart, that most people have the Italian beef. Yeah. Not that I dislike Italian beef, I love Italian beef, but there are great Italian beef joints all over Chicago. Yeah. There aren't Italian breaded steak sandwich joints all over Chicago. No. So it does occupy sort of this special unicorn status. You have to go to this particular neighborhood, this particular place. So what surprised everybody who had one, and they all got one, was how tender it was. People think that a steak sandwich is going to be, and some steak sandwiches are chewy. The Italian breaded steak sandwich from Rico Benny's, they beat the crap out of this. There's an old, angry Nonna in the kitchen that's Italian for grandma, and she is beating the crap out of these steaks, tenderizing it to absolute perfection. And it's from there that they roll it in. And here's our guest star. This is Clark W. Griswold, the Wonder Dog. And so they roll it in.
Yeah, her and Bobo Mancini are.
Yes, exactly. Right in the back, just, give it a what for, it's like a 1940s gangster movie back there. And or Scarface, your choice, right. Which was a 1940s gangster movie. So then they roll it in egg, they bread it, they fry it to perfection, then they add the gravy, the marinara, and throw that cheese on there, slide it into a nice, soft Italian roll, if you will. And people look at that bread and think, oh, this is gonna be like eating a loaf of bread. It's super light. Very similar to the bread that you get with Italian beef. You think, oh, that's gonna be too much bread, and then you eat the entire thing and you're not full. Right. But it's perfection on a bun. I have yet to bring anybody there since I was a kid who was like, this is not.
It's almost like an in the area type of thing.
It really,
it's an occasion you gotta go.
It is an occasion. It's an occasion. Well, this is something too. The neighborhood it's in, it's quintessential South Side. It is working class folks. I mean, when I brought my family there, it was construction workers. It was folks from the neighborhood. It was folks that looked like they just came from Mass. It was a nice mix of, it's a beautiful cross section of blue collar Chicago, basically, in this place. So if you are in Chicago, again, it's super accessible. You take the Red Line, Cermak, Chinatown, you walk several blocks. Chinatown is a nice neighborhood. It's interesting. So don't be afraid to walk there. It's a pretty safe neighborhood. Whether you are blue collar, white collar, gang affiliated or not, everybody has Rico Benny's back, so nothing's going to happen to you.
Right.
I'm just here for the breaded steak and go on your way.
The first time I went down there was, so obviously actors in Los Angeles, we were in Chicago first, and my pops would take me, because I'd have auditions at Simon Casting.
Simon,
Shout
out to Claire.
Shout out Claire, every week, and we'd go to a different spot, because Shirley Hamilton was Ontario Street, right? But Simon Casting was North Side too, near North Side, I think, right?
See, I feel like, yeah, she is. Was she in River North? I'm trying to remember exactly where her office is.
I just remember taking 290 to 90.
Because I would take the train from far north side into downtown. Is she in the Loop?
Probably.
God,
I think she is. Doesn't matter.
Or just outside, like right like near north.
Whatever. But
side.
He would take me to a different spot.
North Loop, sorry.
Right. He would take me to a different spot after all, because I was down there all the time. And Rico Benny's was one. Cheval was one.
Ooh.
You know, pizza places, beefs, everything. So Gibson's. Again, we talked about Gibson's last episode, but the steak sliders from Gibson's are my go-to.
I mean, there's nothing they don't do.
I can't beat it.
Amazing.
No,
No, it's and that actually, speaking of Au Cheval, a place that's really sort of become a haunt for me is the entire West Side. So starting with like West Loop, going into near West and West Side, that's really where I am for the most part when I'm in Chicago.
For people who don't know, tell like what West Side is.
Okay, now understand, like if you look at a map, just if you go to Google and type in map of Chicago, map of city of Chicago. Basically, so if you're looking at the map here, so here's Lake Michigan. Okay, here's the lakefront. So you've got North and South Shore. You got Millennium Park right in here. You have downtown. You also then you have the loops. You have like North Loop. You have West Loop. You have South Loop. There's no East Side because East Side is based. There is technically a neighborhood called the East Side. We'll get into that
Stony,
down the road. Right. But it's the lake. Okay, so you go from here you are downtown. Let's say you've come into the Loop. Now you're in the West Loop. If you just got on, say, Chicago Avenue and just kept walking, that will take you that's one of the through line streets all the way through to the West Side. You could basically walk to like Humboldt Park.
Yeah, it goes far.
It goes pretty far. And so that's kind of where I'm at these days in the city, even though my family's all spread out now. But so you could start out in the West Loop, and West Loop has really come up. What's interesting about the Loop is I'm a skosh older than young Joey here, and I remember when downtown was just like, if you were like, I had cousins who worked in the financial district that were traders and all of that. So they worked during the week, and that was it. You didn't go downtown. I mean, you might go downtown for some bars and for restaurants, but it wasn't the destination it is today. You didn't have Millennium Park. You didn't have this revitalized riverfront with a river walk. You always had architectural tours and all of that, but the potential of downtown has really finally been realized. It's a destination now. That said, if you go to Chicago, don't spend all your time downtown. Anyways, bring it back to the West Side. So there's a place called Fulton Market near West Side. Okay, you can walk to it. You can, if you want to take a ride here, you can, but walk. We're such a walkable, beautiful city. Get out there, get your steps in. It's good for your health, and there's pretty buildings to look at, great people. Fulton Market back in the day was basically where we did a lot of our sort of meat preparation. Chicago was like the butcher for the world, like from like the late 19th century through about, I think up until about World War II.
Yeah, I think maybe after that too.
And maybe, And so, but basically, in addition to butchering meat for the country, all food was traded through Chicago. A lot of food is still traded through Chicago. And the North Side was kind of an area where it was industrial, it was meat preparation, all that, meat processing. Well, it's now become a really kind of, I don't want to say bougie, but it's got great restaurants. You have really sort of top tier, upper echelon restaurants. You've also got just joints, what we call them, a place where you can just get a sandwich and chill out. There's really cool bars. There is McDonald's University, where you can go and basically try McDonald's fare from all over the world.
Yeah.
You want to know what they're eating in South Korea or in Saudi.
I've actually never been there.
Yeah, I mean, I go, my nieces and nephews love to go there, okay?
Yeah.
And check it out. For me, it's like I literally have Al Shabal down the street.
Yeah.
No, all due respect to McDonald's. I actually grew up, we had friends. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, this is Cookie, who all of a sudden really needs my attention. The Cinca Granny family, they were one of the first franchisees of McDonald's in Illinois. I grew up with that family, and they would literally go all over the world opening McDonald's in Germany and France and all these places. So I was able to try things from all over the place, and so it's kind of cool now that you can go to Fulton Market neighborhood of Chicago and get access to this stuff. So it's cool. That said, we have a little restaurant that is one of the best in the world. It is called Au Cheval. Young Joey brought this up.
Yeah.
Now, Au Cheval is this mothership restaurant where anything you get is good. You can get literally the best hamburgers and cheeseburgers on the planet.
Amazing.
I will put it up against anything in the world. It is that good. I have met people, not just from Chicago, but from people across the country and people internationally that have come to this restaurant like, that was the best burger I've ever had in my life. In addition to Au Cheval, they have little satellite restaurants, if you will, Small Cheval. So Small Chevals throughout the region. Small Cheval is just the burgers and fries. And once you go there, you will understand why. They have perfected these things amazingly. They don't serve ketchup. They do this garlic aioli, or if you're not bougie, garlic mayo, that you can put on the burger, dip your fries in. You won't miss ketchup, I promise. Ketchup in Chicago, if you couldn't tell, we're notoriously anti-ketchup on our hot dogs, and now to some extent to our fries. But if you go to Small Cheval, check this place out. I was there. It was the first time I had a hard time finishing. I got 2 cheeseburgers and a fry with the aioli. Yes, I walked all day. But it is without a doubt. You don't have to take my word for it. This is just our arbitrary, we really like it.
Mm-hmm.
There are restaurateurs, people who are chefs, decorated Michelin star chefs that are like, this is the shit.
Right, and it's a guy from 95th making the sandwich or
the
burgers, right?
It is. It's a guy from like the far south side.
Yeah.
A guy who grew up on Vito and Nick's,
Right.
who's basically one of our oldest pizzerias in the city.
Right.
That slinging these things, and it's great. Because I tend to stay west, so everywhere. So like Wicker Park, Bucktown to Humboldt Park, I usually go to the Small Cheval in Milwaukee. So just north of where you've got the Damon stop, so it's like North Avenue, Damon, Milwaukee.
Mm-hmm.
So you go up Milwaukee is one of our few diagonal streets, and there's right there the Small Cheval.
I remember taking it back to our younger days. That was one of my places that my dad took me.
Okay.
And I walked in, and he's like, "You need to get a burger, fries, the garlic aioli, and a side of bacon." Have you ever had the bacon there?
I get the bacon when I go to Au Cheval.
I'm
feeling
talking
hoity-toity.
Right,
Okay. Because Small Cheval.
It is like a candy bacon.
It's this thick.
Oh my gosh.
It is a slab.
A slab of bacon.
And it is perfect.
I took a bite in that burger, and it's like the ratatouille, where like that extra ding like that.
Yep.
It's amazing. It's one of my favorite spots in the city.
No, it's a real gem. I actually, my thing. Coming up, I never went to Au Cheval because anytime I wanted to go, there was always a line. There was always a
and there's no reservations.
And there's
they don't take reservations.
No reservations.
No.
And so it's if you wanna go, my recommendation is go on an off time.
Right.
Maybe go early to Fulton Market.
But they close during like 3 to 5.
Right. Yeah. So obviously.
Right.
Check the hours. You don't want to
or
go to Fulton Market.
Yeah.
Kick around for 2 hours because you can easily do that in Fulton Market for a couple of hours before you go, and that way you can be first in line and get in there. I don't think I was actually in Au Cheval, the mothership, for years after they opened. I had always gone to the Small Cheval on Milwaukee or where's the other one? I'm trying to remember. But so for me it was just that burger and those fries, and they are the best fries you've ever had.
It is crispy.
And then when I went to Oshaval, and I realized that they had this more even scaled up burger where you get an egg, perfectly done egg with a runny yolk, and again the most perfect bacon.
Oh my gosh.
Ever. I don't even know how to. You have to go. You guys have to go. And it's just the most amazing burger ever. And it's you've got the onion, you've got the cheese, you've got the egg, you've got the bacon, you've got the pickle. That's it. Yeah. You don't need to be putting anything more on. It is like this perfect encapsulation of savory animal product on a bun that just it's amazing. And I'm not a big drinker, but I had the first time I ever had a coffee martini was there. And,
really?
Ooh, and now I love them. Like again, I'm a total non-drinker.
At Oshaval?
Yes.
No kidding.
Yes, and I like. It doesn't seem like the type of place you would get. I mean, I guess Oshaval, I guess it kind of is, but I'm not a drinker. I can't. I have no. It's crazy. I come from a family of Olympic class Herculean alcoholics. Guess who can't hold his liquor? This guy. I have 2 drinks. I'm sleeping in the corner. But this was just delicious. Like the craft of it, how good it was amazing. And you can get anything there. I've gotten, they do a foie gras there, foie gras with like liver that was real good, just on this most amazing buttery toast I've ever had in my life. So again, definitely go for the burgers, and even if you never leave the burgers going there, you're fine. But there's lots of good stuff on the menu.
Oh yeah,
it's crazy.
To move more into stuff, and I've actually been wanting to ask you about this.
Sure.
What is your opinion on Gene and Jude's?
Okay, Gene and Jude's.
You know Gene and Jude's.
I do, and it's so interesting because some people call it Gene and Jude's, which I guess it's spelled that way, and then I know there are people that have called it Gene and Judy's, and I don't know if it's just because some people don't know how to read, and other people do.
Right.
But
for those of you who do not know, Gene and Jude's is a hot dog shop on the northwestern side, I would call it. Is it? It's Melrose Park, or is it?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. It's northwesterly, right?
Right, northwestern, and basically they just do hot dogs, but they do hot dogs and they put the fries on the hot dogs so you eat them together.
Yes. And the fries have skin on them.
Right, correct. In my opinion, I think people either love them or hate them.
Well, this is the thing. I mean, your taste is your taste,
right?
But I love Gene and Jude's. I don't, or Judy's. That's what my mom and dad call it. I don't know if that's correct or not.
They knew Judy.
But it's an institution. They've been around forever.
Oh my gosh!
It is really, really good. They're one of the few places that do it their way. Like some people don't like fries on their hot dogs. I grew up with my fries on the side until I think I was 8, 9. Got introduced to Gene and Jude's, and they're the fries, and it's delicious. Yeah. You literally see a guy taking whole potatoes, shoving it through a slicer, cuts them into these
15-year-old kid.
15-year-old kid, and who's just got one really strong arm. He's this kid could be an arm wrestler and take us all, without a doubt. And it's really good. Now, this is the thing: is everybody has their favorite Italian beef. Everybody has their favorite hot dog place. Everybody has their favorite pizza joint. Italian beef. I have multiples, and I think it's you like what you like. That's good, but don't limit yourself. I think the most perfect hot dog, just in terms of presentation, in terms of how the bun is shaped, how everything is held in there, how every time I've eaten there since I was a teenager, nothing has ever fallen out. Maybe that's because I have a big mouth. I'm a big fan of Wolfie's on the far north side. It's California and Peterson. And everything fits in that bun absolutely perfectly. However, that doesn't get in the way of me liking Gene and Jude's. Yeah. Gene and Jude's is a little more fast and dirty, if you will. You're not going to Gene and Judy's because of the ambiance. You're not going there because of, your hoity-toity. I mean, it's just not.
You eat at your car, basically.
You eat in your car.
Yeah. There's no seating.
Or you eat. I mean, there's like sort of like some seats outside.
Right? Yeah.
And all that sort of stuff. But it's in Chicago, we're animals.
Right.
When I want 2 Chicago-style fries, they're not making their way home. I'm going to eat it in the car because I'm an animal. And
it's almost like a spot after dinner.
Yeah, it's like after dinner, after you've maybe been out for the night.
It's a late night spot for
It
sure.
really is. It's like Jim's Original. It's open late, and you go there to get a late night bite and all that sort of stuff. And welcome back. And so I Gene and Jude's. It's an institution. It's been there for so long. Mm-hmm. Anybody who really knows Chicago food, Chicago street food, Chicago food history, you have to hit that place. Yeah. Without a doubt. So that this is my thing too. If you're coming from a different place, if you're coming from a place that does pizza or hot dogs or other things differently, keep yourself open to trying the Chicago way. Just in the way that you would keep yourself open to trying cuisines of different ethnicities, different nations. Like you'd never try Oaxacan cuisine from Mexico. And yes, I'd like that, but I don't want the mole.
Right.
I mean, they would be completely morally within their right to grab you by the neck, take you out and back, and beat you. You don't tell those people or any people how to make their own cuisine. Yeah. And Chicago is no different. Again, Chicago may not be a nation unto itself. We kind of are. But just try it that way. Try a Chicago-style hot dog with no ketchup. Try Gene and Jude's with the fries on the hot dog. I'm telling you, you're gonna love it. It's so good. But keep yourself open to that. Yeah. It's one of those things where I remember I was at Tufano's in college, and we go there for the Italian special, the sub that they do, which is amazing. Yeah. And I went with this girl that was in one of my classes that I really liked, and she was from Michigan. I love Michiganders, and I didn't tell her. I'm like, just say I want an Italian special. And she went out there, she said, okay, I like that sandwich, but I don't want this, no cheese, can I have the oil on this? I was like,
they're probably looking at her like,
and no, there's a woman behind the counter who looks like Tony Soprano's wife. Yeah. And this woman is looking at Miss Michigan.
She's not there to work, she's there to judge.
Yeah, she is, absolutely. And she's like, okay, order for Picky, I need it out. And just took her apart. Yeah. And she's like, did I order that wrong? I'm like, remember I said just order the special thing. You're there for their sandwich. Right. You're not there to tell them how to make it. Right. Yeah. I mean, if you have a food allergy, just don't go. Yeah. But I don't think there's anything on those sandwiches that you'd be allergic to. But yeah, so that's that. Welcome to Chicago. So
I was gonna ask you, do you know, and I don't know if it's underrated or not, but do you know any good Greek spots in the city?
Oh. Greek, I just had Greek.
I'm trying to think
last Friday. I just had Greek. Okay, I grew up with Greek. I have no Greek blood, but I do. You cut me. Not only do I bleed marinara, I bleed oregano. I also bleed olive oil. It's all of these things. So the beautiful part of near West Side is it is the home of Chicago's Little Italy. It is the home of Greektown. All right, so you have this beautiful melange of sort of Mediterranean food on the west side. So north of UIC is Greektown, and sort of in between the east and west campus of UIC is Chicago's Little Italy. Both of these areas sadly are shrinking because the kids that have grown up, like their great grandparents came over at the late 1800s, early 1900s, and they passed it on for several generations, but these kids, they're not interested anymore. They're moving to the suburbs or whatever it is. So it's getting harder and harder to pass the baton. That said, there are incredible Greek spots.
There's one that I'm trying to think of. It closed down now.
Parthenon?
No.
Well, I always go to Greek Islands, which is probably what some of these other places. There's Persepolis? No, not Persepolis.
Greek Islands, because one of them closed.
Greek Islands is still open. I was just there.
But there's one in Greektown that just closed.
I know what you're talking about too, because every time I have a notice on my notifications that when something closes in Chicago, I see there have been several places that have closed. There's been several places in Chicago's Greektown that have closed. Yeah. Just like there's been several. The Chicago Brauhaus, half my family's German, and so that's really the German Mecca in Chicago for the longest time has been Lincoln Square. And that's where the Chicago Brauhaus is, closed in 2020, because literally the wait staff was in their late 70s. Again, the kids didn't want to take it over, but you still have Danke House, you've got the German Cultural Center, and you also have Laschet's Inn on Irving Park. Anyways, back to Greektown. You really can't go wrong whether you're in Greektown of Chicago for Greek food or even outside of it. There's actually a place in East Ukrainian Village,
UK, no, right?
East Ukrainian Village, Greek Corner Euros. Because I'm on the west side so much, not necessarily in Greektown, right on Augusta, I think it is. Damon, I'm sorry. Greek Corner Euros. Now, you're in a historically Ukrainian neighborhood, and they still kill the Greek. Like, this is one of the things you have to understand is when the Greeks came over to Chicago, and it's not just the city, but all of the satellite towns and cities that make up what we call Chicago land. So, you can be as Chicago coming from Chicago land as if you are, right downtown. The Greeks knew how to cook. And so they ran all of the diners, all of sort of the family restaurants, and many do till this day. So you can go to a family restaurant, a Greasy Spoon diner, and get just perfect moussaka. You could get souvlaki, you get gyros, all of that stuff. And places like Ukrainian Village, Greek Corner Euros is amazing. But I would highly recommend going to places that are, I would say, the mothership of Greek food in Chicago is truly the Greek Islands. They're never
I
not.
would say that's where it was. The story is we were all at dinner. It was just me, my dad, my stepmom, and Greek people are amazing. They're like
Italians. They're
Italians.
fun. They like to laugh. They like to cook.
Fun.
They like to talk.
And we always get the avogo lemongo and the saganaki to start off, right? And when they light the saganaki on fire.
Slow that down.
Yeah.
What is this soup that you speak of?
It's called avogo lemono. It's like a rice lemon.
It's egg lemon soup.
Egg lemon soup.
For those of you non-Greeks.
Yeah.
And it is the best.
No, it's amazing. My dad's stepfather, he was Greek, and he special occasions he always made it. But we're at maybe it's Greek Islands. I don't know what it was, but they light the cheese on fire. They go, "Oppa!"
Saganaki,
right.
basically flaming cheese, which is a Chicago concoction. I've learned.
Oh, really?
It's something that was invented in Chicago. It's not something that they necessarily. Maybe they do it now in Greece, but based on everything I've researched, it is a Chicago creation, like the Italian beef, not from Italy. It's made by Italians in Chicago. Saganaki, the flaming cheese, is a Greek creation in Chicago.
Right. They light it on fire, and it goes up in flames, and everyone says, "Oppa!" Blah, blah. So we're at dinner, and we ordered the saganaki, right? And this guy comes around with the plate. He's a waiter. You think he's gonna do it? He lights the cheese on fire, and he looks right at my dad. He goes, "Oppa." That's it, right? Walks away and puts it down. And we were like, "What the just happened?"
Yeah, you got Oppa!
But he was a great waiter. It's so funny though.
Yeah, no. That's funny. I bet it's every once in a while you'll have waiters at these places. Also, the Athenian Room. That's another spot. Athenian Room is another place in Greektown. Like, for example, last time we were there, I brought a bunch of family like this recently, and I looked at our waiter. I'm like, this guy could be Greek. But he just looked a little too. I talked to him, ended up being Albanian. Cool ass dude. But he was sort of like, Oppa. But here's the thing, everyone around us was Oppaing, so it was fine.
Oppa's like a cheers.
Yeah, it's like cheers. Yeah.
So,
all that sort of stuff. Yeah. And it's dinner and a show.
Oh yeah.
Really, if we're being honest. It's not quite of the level as, say, Wiener Circle, which we covered last episode. Well, that is dinner and a show.
Right.
You go to Wiener Circle. You go to Greek Islands or your restaurant of choice in Greektown for dinner. Then you go out.
Right.
Paint the town.
Right.
And after that, then you go to Wiener Circle in Lincoln Park and have a dinner and show with those fine ladies there. Right. That's it. Yeah, then you better call them fine ladies because they will roast your ass.
Smoke your ass.
They will smoke your ass actually, regardless, which is why you go. That's why you go.
Yeah.
But no, there's excellent Greek food, obviously in the heart of Greektown, but really throughout the city. There are people that from every walk of life that grew up in Chicago you know Greek food like the back of your hand, and people will think you're Greek, and it's like, no, there's Greek friends and sometimes family and whatever. So it's good stuff.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Just thinking about the Wiener Circle, and like I've seen an episode of Conan, because Conan did an episode there.
That was great.
And I'm thinking, because they'll take your money and put it in the tip jar. They'll take it. I'm thinking, what would I do? If I was just like, I just have to.
You'll just be like, okay.
Yeah, take it to the chin.
You're not gonna. You're in their house,
right?
Okay, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you want to move into?
Well, we've done the Greek. Yeah. So that's a major. I mean, the major cuisines of Chicago is obviously we've got our own food. We've covered a lot of that.
Yeah.
Greek is a big one. Italian obviously is a big one.
Right.
And that's sort of all over.
Right.
Like it's with
we're talking about Tufano's.
Tufano's.
Yeah.
We did Rico Benni's, and that's the other thing. Another thing about Rico Benni's we should mention is it's not just the Italian breaded steak sandwich. You can get amazing chicken parm, amazing eggplant parm. Mm-hmm. You can get solid spaghetti and meatballs. I mean, there's not lasagna. Right. There's nothing that you could order at Rico Benni's that you're going to be disappointed in, and that's kind of why it's dangerous. It's like. But it's so it's hard to miss. So it's Small Cheval, we did Au Cheval, we've done Gene and Judy's. I'm trying to think, man, this is embarrassing. I should. Well, maybe we could move in to. I'm not a big drinker, but now let me tell you about my favorite lounges. There are 2 spots in Chicago. One is downtown. One is in Wicker Park. Classy joints. I have no business being in either one. Again, not a drinker, but it's fun to go out and have a drink, as I do, and then my family empties the bar. And there's 2 spots. So let's start out west side, Wicker Park. Mm-hmm. Wicker Park is a place called the Violet Hour. And the Violet Hour has been around a good while. I want to say 15 years. Mm-hmm. Might be less, might be more. Violet Hour, if you, let's say you take the blue line and you get off at Damon, okay? Is it the Damon blue line? I'm liking it. So you're in Wicker Park. You get off the Damon stop. You're walking south on Damon. You'll pass, as soon as you get off there, so there's a taco joint, there's a Stan's Donuts, then there's the CTA station, then there is a dive bar that looks like the outside hasn't been touched. It's totally Art Deco. You go inside, I don't think it looks like it's been touched since the 70s. And then next door, it looks like it's just like an empty wooden wall, okay? That empty wooden wall, there's a door there. It looks like there hasn't been anything there for years. It looks like maybe it's abandoned. Well, if you open that door, that is the entrance to the Violet Hour. The Violet Hour is set up very speakeasy style. Actually, I'm going to give you three lounges. Speakeasy style is really exploded. It's something that goes back to sort of our Prohibition history in Chicago, when you couldn't really openly drink. So you have to go to a speakeasy, someplace that was hidden, was sort of out of the way, was underground, to have a drink and fraternize and all that. Well, this place, the Violet Hour, is styled after the French salons of the 1950s. Now, a salon in France is just a place where people meet to talk, drink, eat. So you have these really high-back blue leather chairs, super classy. All gentlemen, you have to have a jacket that you can button. You cannot go in there. You have to. You're not strolling in there with a tracksuit on. I don't care how nice a tracksuit it is. Ladies, a blouse, or ladies, a jacket, depending on your religion. And so, again, everybody's welcome. But there are no Jaeger bombs. There are no bombs of any kind. There are no mixed drinks. It's what's on their menu. They do a certain thing. They do it real well. So if you want to class it up, be ladies and gentlemen, or gentle ladies and whatever, this is a great place. Yeah. And it's so fun. I actually went, because I was on my coffee martini stint, and I got there and I didn't see anything on the menu. And I said, can you recommend and our waitress was this dope ass woman from San Diego. She left San Diego for Chicago. In love with Chicago. Again, not that you shouldn't be in love with Chicago, but she loves the seasons. She loves it even when it's snowy out. There's a ton of shit to do inside. People don't. When molecular motion stops, because it's negative 247 degrees Kelvin outside, there's plenty of stuff to do inside, and it's so cool to meet people from California in our city that are just like, no, I'm in love with it here. I'm never leaving, because you know. Those of us that grow up in 35 below, not every winter, but some winters, it's you think, okay, I'm going to Florida or Cali, or I'm going to Arizona or wherever it is. And you can't blame people. A lot of my family are snow bunnies, snowbirds. Some people have moved. But anyways, so she's totally awesome. She's like, well, actually, we just were doing a drink that I think was like some sort of tequila, a coffee liqueur, ice. Yeah, this thing was, and I'm like, okay, I like coffee.
Do you like tequila?
I love tequila, and mezcal is my thing. I like that smoky. I like smoky mezcal. I like smoky old scotches, like Lagavulin. I like stuff that tastes like I'm drinking firewood. Well, she made this thing, or the bartender did, and it was this sort of smoky coffee drink. I'll be damned, I had 2 of those things. It was so good. It was really, really good. But it's all about. It's not just any bar in Chicago. There is a bit of a dress code. There is a expectation that you're not going to come in there with your bros. You're not going to, the fellas from DePaul, are not going to roll in. It's no backwards caps, by the way, no caps.
I gotta go there. I'm imagining it, and I've never seen it.
It's so beautiful.
You walk in, and it's just real low lit.
Super low lit. Like the entire place is lit either by candles or by these tiny little lamps on everybody's
table. Is there booths?
There are booths,
yes. I think the booths are like a...
It's like a purple? Velvety purple. Yes, the whole place is purple velvet.
Yeah.
It looks basically like a Prince video from the 80s, for those of you that are older.
Have you ever been to Roger Room out here?
No.
I feel like it's like a Roger Room. Roger Room is kind of the same type of deal.
Okay.
It's just like a booth outside, bar, real low.
In LA, I don't really do any sort of drinking, loungy bars. I just don't. But in Chicago, Violet Hour is the first one. And they're right in Wicker Park, again, styled after the French salons of the 50s. Classy, beautiful. I always try to do reservations ahead of time because I know my family.
At the Violet Hour?
At the Violet Hour, yes. Okay. So I would say, depending on when you're going, if it's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I'd recommend that you try to put in a reservation, because you don't want to just, you can show up, I've done that, but when I'm with my friends or my family, it's always like, okay, 3 friends and then like 7 more family. You want to make sure that they have the space for you, all of that.
In me moving out here, I'm 22 years old for our listeners out there.
And I am not.
Yeah. I can really only speak on like Wrigleyville is like the first real place that we went to bar hop.
But Wrigleyville has that cultural reputation as a place where you go to drink. Wrigley Field is the biggest bar in Chicago.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right.
You know what I mean?
They sell the most Budweiser and anything.
Yeah, they really do. And that's the thing is like all along Addison. And, the whole setup there.
I can speak on the clubs, but we'll get to that in another episode.
Let me drop 2 more lounges for you before we get into the clubs.
No, I want to get clubs into another episode.
Yeah, okay,
that's
cool.
a whole other story.
But 2 more lounges that are, in addition to the Violet Hour in Wicker Park, which you guys, again, if you're feeling dressed up, or like say you just want to take your lady, or lady if you want to take your fellas, or you want to just do something nice. Violet Hour is fantastic. Dress up. Just go out, because here's the thing. You can go in and get a drink at the Violet Hour, and when you're done, walk out, you have Big Star Tacos, you have, you go anything along Milwaukee, you've got Small Cheval just to the north, Big Star Taco, so you've got all these things there, you've got all these different bites and different things, you've got, again, Small Cheval right at Milwaukee. Before we leave Wicker Park, there's actually a dive bar. They're probably not a dive bar, but they're kind of divey, that I just discovered. It's called the Revel Room, and it is on Milwaukee in the heart of Wicker Park, like all along Milwaukee there, where it's just all really funky and dirty and great. Revel Room, it's got what I thought was the Chicago flag growing up, a big old style sign. And
Which is basically the Chicago flag.
Which is basically
right?
the Chicago flag. If you're from my family, my dad was cracking old styles for breakfast.
Yeah.
And then he would go and paint an oil refinery. Oh, the 80s.
Right.
Anyways, so you have these old style signs outside most bars throughout Chicago. And sometimes the signs are in English, sometimes they're in Polish, sometimes they're in Spanish. But they're all over the city, no matter the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And this place has a big old style sign. And one of my cousins out here is obsessed with old style because they don't have it in California, okay?
Right.
So anytime he's like, we gotta go in this place. I'm like, okay, we go in, old style's $3 a can. So we all just get an old style,
Right.
and we're sitting, and they have like these big red leather booths and couches, and we're just kicking it and just having a good time. And people are coming in and out. DJ came in, started spinning some really good stuff, and that was just because we were in Wicker Park, because the house is in Humboldt Park.
Yeah.
And we just had a great old time. And after that, we would walk down to the Hat on Ashland, get hot dogs, Italian beef, gyros, and then walk all the way back to Humboldt Park.
Yeah.
So the booze would burn off, the food would burn off, we go to sleep, perfect.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to mention, in Wicker Park, the Violet Hour and the Revel Room. So one's super fancy, one's more divey, just go a place where you go and just get a drink.
Yeah.
Now, on to downtown, on Ontario, not Ohio, Ontario, there is a Japanese sake lounge.
Oh, you're talking about
Some people, you might not know about sake. I've known about sake forever. I studied, Japanese language, history, culture in school.
Hot sake is the way to go.
Not true. Okay, we'll just do a quick little course on sake 101. Hot sake is something, it tends to be older. It's something that you might eat when you're doing teppanyaki or you're getting noodles. Like if you're just like on the streets of Tokyo, Kyoto, wherever, and you're just doing their street food, they'll put, not high quality, not terrible, but sort of like your Pabst Blue Ribbon, your old style. Put that right on the griddle there, and they'll heat it up, and it's really good. Warm sake is really good. It's great with sort of Japanese street food. It's great with it's great if you have a cold.
And sake is like a rice
wine. It's basically
wine.
rice
Gotcha.
they distill it. They we do grain or with whiskey and all that, and it sort of becomes a wine.
Right.
It's the Korean equivalent is soju. So the Koreans and the Japanese have their own versions of it. Sake in Japanese, Murasaki is the place. It's Mursake. And it's a lounge downtown on Ontario. It's a Japanese sake lounge. They have the sake bar right up front. You go further in, and it's loungy. This place is also very purple, pink, blue lit. I have a friend of mine. I have a huge honor of knowing one of the DJ who resurrected the Japanese music genre, city pop, which was popular from like the late 70s through about the late 80s, early 90s. My friend Van Pagam, he is the city pop DJ in the world, and he's based out of Chicago. He single-handedly resurrected the genre from Chicago, and he has traveled all throughout Japan. He has done remixes with classic city pop artists in Japan for anniversaries of albums and things. He spins there, he spins at other places, but it's one of the places he spins. So you can go and listen to this great Japanese pop music. They'll do Japanese jazz. They have TVs up. I mean, in my heyday, I would go there. We get like a flight of sake. Everyone would try something. We get like rice balls and different like little bites. They don't do full menu, but little bites. On one TV, you'd have like a Hayao Miyazaki animated film going. Over here, we have Seven Samurai by Akira Kurosawa.
Yeah.
Music's playing.
You've been to Japan, yeah?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. And
I'd love to go.
it is one of the most beautiful places on earth.
Like my
the
buddy,
Japanese the Japanese exist to perfect everything.
Yeah.
They perfected their own culture, then they perfected cars, then they perfected video games. Now they're perfecting hip hop dancing. Like they're just incredible people.
I hear it's very clean there too.
It's super. These are the 3 cleanest places I've ever been in my life. I would say Japan, and I worked for a year in Switzerland. 2 cleanest places I've ever been on the planet.
Yeah.
And I haven't been a ton of places, but I've been enough places.
Right.
I would say it would be Japan, a tight second, like right hair's breadth away. Switzerland, and then hair's breadth away from that, city of Chicago.
Absolutely.
Everybody is shocked. Whether it is family coming from LA, San Francisco, anywhere else, New York, they're like, holy crap, it is so clean in Chicago.
Right.
So yeah, we run a tight ship in Chicago. Right. You know, we have our faults, we have our good, our bad, our ugly, but keeping a clean city ain't one of them.
And we were talking about this, I don't know if we talked about this on the pod or beforehand, but everybody out here for some reason says, "Oh, I'm from Chicago. Oh, you're from the East Coast." We are not.
And by out here
Coast.
We mean LA, which is where we're currently recording from.
And everyone says
so people
East
refer to
Coast.
Chicago as the East Coast.
We are not the East Coast. We are the Midwest, if not the heart of the Midwest.
We absolutely are the heart of it. And in terms of major metropolitan cultural centers, we absolutely are. Chicago absolutely is. Before we get, I want to make sure that I stay on Murasaki.
Yeah.
Let me just wrap up Murasaki real quick. Murasaki, again, Japanese sake lounge. Bar up front, you go in the back, you got the booths, you got, Kurosawa, Miyazaki, all the stuff, you got my buddy Ben who's spinning. All this, he's one of the coolest motherfuckers in the world. I love him to death as a person, as an artist. He's a great guy. Any chance you have to see Van Pagon, he also does stuff in Chinatown, he does stuff all over the world, go see him. And so, you get a flight. Last time we were there, my niece, who's real bougie, how bougie is she? She works for Chanel.
Oh.
Okay, so she is, as we say in Chicago, fucking classy.
Classy.
And she's a classy broad.
Classy broad.
Classy broad. And I call her classy broad. Anyway, she's sweet. She doesn't mind it. And so we spent a lot of time, Gold Coast. Gold Coast would be the equivalent of like Manhattan, Beverly Hills, and other places. So the Gold Coast of
classy.
Classy. Multi-million-dollar mansions, Rush Street, Ferrari and Porsche dealerships, classy stuff. So we were there checking out she likes to go into all the boutiques, all that sort of stuff. And so by the end of that day, we go to Murasaki downtown because we literally from the North Shore to the South Shore, we just painted the whole area. We end up back downtown. We're going, and she's like, "Where should I like a drink?" I'm like, "Okay." We go to Murasaki, and we got they had a new flight of sake. They had a whiskey sake,
nice.
A coffee sake, which your boy here. I mean, you cut me, and it's like I got like
coffee
coming right out here, man. And I'm trying to remember the third one. The third one was like what is called a jinmai or a floral sake. Floral sakes are infused with different floral notes. Okay, I studied this stuff. And we drank them all. And I don't know what it is, sake, tequila, mezcal, vodka, no clear liquor adversely affects me. I still don't drink beyond 2 or 3 at the most. I nurse my drinks. I actually enjoy the flavor of these things. Like I enjoy my coffee. I'm not doing it to get jacked and caffeine. I savor the flavor. And so we were savoring the flavors of these different sakes, and we just had a great time. They were doing this sort of Japanese acid jazz was playing in the background. It was after a long day of literally walking around the entire city, just chilling out was a lot of fun. So again, if you're downtown, highly recommend Murasaki Lounge on Ontario. It's really. I would also you can come as you are. They're Japanese, so they're incredibly polite, but that doesn't mean just because you can do something doesn't mean you should.
Right.
So dress up a little. I'm not like you don't have to go in there fucking tux and tails, okay? But something. Right. Put on I try to do if I'm not dressed up, I try to do all black.
How let's wear all black.
A little bit of a necklace. I dress like a mortician, mortician gangster. My nephew's just like, are you doing the embalming or are you doing the killing?
Right.
No. So, but try to class it up. It's a place where you could take a date. It's a place where.
And I just noticed. I'm sorry to interrupt. The Tims are the most Chicago thing I've seen.
Oh yeah.
All day.
I
don't think I've seen a pair of Tims out here.
Well, follow me down to Englewood, and there's Englewood in Chicago, and then there's the city of Englewood in LA County,
and one
just south of LA core.
Right.
So this is what happens when you're a teenager, and the only people who will befriend you are black men in their 50s. You gain an incredible knowledge of the best music ever, and you learn how to dress.
We do an episode on the hoods, right?
We absolutely do doing all the neighborhoods, and that's why I have had minimum 6 different flavors of Tim's my entire life, because Leroy set me right.
Yeah.
And it's but it's true. Dress. Don't go in there with sweats. Don't go in there with flip. I don't know really anybody who does flip flops in Chicago. I guess they do exist. You got a lot of guys with winter coats with shorts,
right? Yeah.
Because our legs are just really hot in Chicago.
Right. Yeah.
So, anyways, okay. So Murasaki, that's one down. Now my last one that I want to do is this is a brand new joint, and it's as if somebody climbed into my head and said, "What type of lounge would Kyle build?" It is right on Cermak, across Cermak in Chinatown. Like here's New Chinatown Square, and here's Old Chinatown. Right here, boom, in the middle, is a place called 9 Bar. Oh. And it is also kind of speakeasy style. You go to look, you find the address, you park, and you walk up to that address, and it's a laundromat. And you're like, okay, I must have got this wrong if this is a laundromat. Go into the laundromat and just say, yeah. Can we get a table for 3? Talking to her. There's literally like a Chinese lady there folding laundry, and it's like, table for 3? 1 second. She's a gangster. Yeah. And she grabs onto what should be the handle of one of the washers and opens the wall.
What?
And reveals 9 Bar. 9 Bar is specifically a bar lounge in the city of Chicago that is designed specifically after the aesthetics of the 1982 classic film Blade Runner. Yeah. Now, anybody who knows me knows that it is my favorite film of all time. To me, there's no more perfect, philosophically interesting, and aesthetically pleasing film, in my view, than Ridley Scott's Blade Runner. These folks built an entire lounge around it. So you walk in there and you literally look like you're in the downtowns. Blade Runner is set in future Los Angeles. You walk into that bar, it looks like you are in the downtown LA of Blade Runner. Yeah. Kid you not. You go into the men's room, it's red lit, it's red and black. The walls are a grid like a computer, and there's quotes from the movie along the bottom of every mirror. Yeah. So
that's sweet.
I am bricked up the entire time there. It's absolutely beautiful. And again, I've been talking about all these drinks that I drink. Again, believe it or not, I'm a non-drinker. I don't really, and this place has the most amazing cocktails. And I'm fine with just like a mezcal. Yeah. I'm fine with vodka, and I am. But the most amazing drinks. Right. The music, again, my buddy Van spins there as well.
Does he?
He does. He spins. Here's where Van spins. He spins from Chicago and Tokyo. Let me give you an idea. That's how he was just in France. Like, he's crushing.
That's
and he's
crazy.
Still just a sweet, amazing human being. I love him.
Yeah.
And so he's spinning there. Maybe you like vodka drinks. Right. You want a nice import beer, because one thing to know about Chicago is it's a city ordinance that every neighborhood has a microbrewery. So you can get any of the IPAs from Chicago, any of the microbrew stuff there. You can get Asian cocktails, stuff that's infused with sake and various rice wines from across, greater.
It's a melting pot.
It really is.
Yeah.
And that's the movie Blade Runner is this sort of melange of a mix. Chicago is a mix. Yeah. And so 9 Bar, it absolutely fits perfectly in Chicago. And there's no better place for them to have picked than Chinatown. Right.
Thinking about this now, the reason, shoot me if I'm wrong, but the reason all these Chicago places were in the back of a nail shop or in my sister's basement, cousin's house, is because during the Prohibition era, they needed to hide all these places. And Chicago's like the mecca of...
Yeah, this is what people don't understand. Again, and it's like...
The mecca of drinkers, believe that.
We're the mecca for stand-up and improv, Second City. We're I don't care what anybody says. And as someone who lived in New York City, who loves New York City, who loves New Yorkers, and has mad respect for their culture and their food, next to Chicago. Sorry, we're shoulder to shoulder on this one. And I don't believe in this pissing match between Chicago and New York. Everybody does their thing. But when it comes to our history, in terms of, we are in so many ways the original gangsters. it's, for better or for worse. I mean, you had, downtown, Capone could just roll downtown, and if he didn't like you didn't cooperate. He would Tommy gun your entire business, everyone inside of it, and sometimes the cops couldn't do anything about it.
Right.
Now that's cool, but the style of the era is absolutely cool, and we've kept a lot of that. We love our history.
Yeah.
Prohibition, absolutely. You had to hide. It was one of those things where we learned nothing from Prohibition with, we're just now considering nationwide legalization of cannabis,
right.
which we should. It's stupid that we are destroying people's lives for selling ounces of something when you can get loaded with alcohol and get behind your car and kill someone.
Right.
It doesn't make moral sense, it doesn't make logical sense.
Yeah.
But so, we were absolutely, during the Prohibition era, all you do is drive it underground.
Yeah.
So the gangsters are just they're going to get people what they want, because you didn't get rid of the demand. You're trying to get rid of supply. That doesn't change demand.
Right.
And so speakeasies, literally from the northern tip of Chicago, bleeding into Evanston, going all the way south to places like Oaklawn, going all the way west to Melrose Park, going all the way to Cicero. And this is something we're going to touch on the burbs as well.
Yeah.
There is a breed of Chicagoan that seems to think that if you are not born and bred necessarily in the city, that somehow you don't have that Chicago ethos, that Chicago, and that's not true.
Right.
Because
that's me. I'm the West Side.
This is you. Even if you're from whatever burb, you come into the city for everything. You come into the city to eat, to party, to go to museums, to be with friends, to go down to all that sort of stuff. So relax, everybody. Okay.
Sure.
All right. We all bleed Cubby blue or White Sox black. So the point is, or coffee like I do. Anyways, point is, the gangsters at some point didn't just hole up in the city. Let's look at
Capone was in Cicero.
Let's look at Cicero, Joliet, Melrose Park. Up until one of my favorite places in Melrose Park was Danny's Cafe. Those of you who are from the area know Danny's Cafe. That is an Italian joint. It's the only place at this point I feel like it's the only place I can go to get Italian tripe. Yeah. Basically, they do tripe, which is cow stomach, and they marinate it, just like you would any Italian style meat, and it's absolutely delicious. Yeah. Well, about 5-6 years ago, the owners were found out to be doing other business, shall we say?
No.
Really? In Chicago, I'm shocked. And Danny's Cafe had to go away. What was funny is they started another joint, and I'm blanking on the name. Forgive me, I'll find it in a future episode, I'll drop the name. And then they got in trouble again. So, it's rough out there for a gangster. And, it's one of those things where the families don't exist like they used to, obviously. They still exist, but a lot of them just went into legitimate businesses, and there's always a few left over. I still think that they can, the age of the internet, the age of everything being tracked, can still do it. So every once in a while you hear these stories about somebody getting popped. Yeah. West suburbs, southwest, area. Literally we had a gangster as a mayor of Cicero. Betty Loren Maltese. You look at this woman; she looks like she's straight out of Central Casting. Yeah. Like she should have been running the girls in Scarface with Pacino. Right. So, it is what it is. It's a colorful history. Yeah. Our city and our satellites, Chicagoland. Yeah. But it was one of those things where you can get rid of the supply, the demand doesn't go away, and it really empowered organized crime in the city of Chicago for a really long time, and you had to create these speakeasies, and it didn't matter whether you were Italian, Irish, African American. We all had them. Yeah, we all had them. Oh yeah. And from the south side to the west side to the north, there was places like the Green Mill that were around. You have these blues clubs. Were on the south side, it's just, people need to get away and forget the troubles and all that sort of stuff. So it's just a human thing. Yeah. And we eventually woke up and realized, making something illegal doesn't make people not want to do it. Right. Maybe we should just regulate it and tax it and try to deal with it that way. Yeah. Obviously, never drink to excess, especially today. call a ride share, get a ride from. So there's no reason to ever get behind it, especially in Chicago.
Right.
I mean, what is it? New Year's Day, we have what they call them penny rides. I don't know anybody who has pennies in their pockets anymore.
Yeah.
You can ride CTA for free. If you come,
It is for free. Yeah.
I faked being drunk because I lost my card. It was like
Brilliant.
2008,
Yeah.
2007. It was New Year's, again, not a drinker.
Yeah.
So I'm completely sober, and I realized I don't have my CTA card. So I staggered up, and the guy just let me in.
Yeah.
CTA workers are the best. They're fantastic. God bless them.
Yeah.
So, yeah, little history lesson.
The CTA workers have a night shift at the Wiener Circle, so yeah.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
They do. Wanda will toast her. She'll be nice to you, letting you on. She'll show you how to add value to your card.
Mhm.
You know, if you're from somewhere else.
Right.
Actually, that was one of the best things ever. I took two of my nephews a few years ago. Their first trip to Chicago. Now, these particular nephews are Bay Area. Okay, so Bay Area Filipinos. All right, never been to Chicago, and we literally just dropped our bags at the house, and we are near. We're getting on the Brown line. We had just walked through, I think, near DePaul, and we had only
That
been
might
walking.
be red line. No,
Maybe
probably
it's-
brown line. No, it is brown.
I think it's Brown.
Yeah.
I can't remember exactly which stop, and I realized that they hadn't got their cards at O'Hare like they were supposed to, and we walk in there, and there is a woman there who is. Again, we have these saints, these saintly women throughout Chicago, and we just walked in, and I go to grab my card, and my two nephews didn't have theirs. I didn't even turn around, and this woman is talking to my nephew. Sugar, you don't have your card. And they immediately went like, I'm sorry, ma'am, I don't. And so she hooks them up, walks them through it, and her name was Joan. Joan or Jill. Straight out of Central Casting. Beautiful, amazing woman. Hooked them up with their cards, they're all set.
Right.
We're good the rest of the week.
Right.
And so, I don't know why I told that story. Where was I at there?
And then she cooked him a meal.
And then she pulls an entire plate of she just happened to have, a burrito the size of a head.
Right.
Taco Burrito King, by the way.
Yeah.
Burritos as big as your head.
Yeah.
This is one thing I do. I love my city. We love our city, obviously. But sometimes I'm just like, who needs that much food?
No, right.
Here's the great thing is the price, what you pay for the amount of food that you get is a deal. Because even if you eat half the burrito, you're going to bring the other half home and eat it for breakfast the next morning.
Oh, yeah.
You're never going to go hungry.
Yeah.
That's the thing in Chicago. And again, versus other major metropolitan cities, LA, New York, your dollar goes way further.
Oh my gosh.
For as high as the taxes are in terms of property taxes and things in the city, it's when it comes to food and drink, we don't mess with that. There is sales tax, but you can eat and drink really well in our city.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else we wanted. Was there anything else you wanted to hit?
There's one. How are we doing on time?
We're good. I think we're at about an hour.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
There's one that's so you're a Second City alum.
Yes.
I'm a Second City alum. I don't know if you knew that. I didn't
Yeah.
improv over there.
Oh yeah.
Tim Sosco. Hi Tim. There's a place right down the street called Topo
Gigio.
Topo Gigio.
Topo Gigio. Yeah. Speaking of Italian joints.
Topo Gigio. My dad and I used to go there after class every Tuesday.
So good.
Get a bowl of spaghetti and meatballs.
Oh.
Amazing. Packed. It's always packed.
Always packed.
Always packed. Their pizza is great too.
Their pizza's
by the way.
amazing. Yeah.
Have you been there?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I've been going there since before I could shave.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
they've been around a long time. No, Topo Gigio.
Yeah.
That's that place is amazing.
That's another
Right in
place.
Old Town. It's the Old Town neighborhood.
Old Town's dope.
Old Town
Town's super
is the home of Second City.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of really, really old buildings.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
you want to talk about original Chicago,
Mm-hmm.
Old Town, and that's why it's called Old Town. It's Old Town Chicago. Amazing. They were up all night thinking of the neighborhood name.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's if you, that's another recommendation. If you like improv, you like comedy, you like sketch, go to Second City. They have they've got their main room, and they've got different levels of shows all the time. Something going on. There's something there for everyone, and then grab some great food
Yeah.
while you're there. But that's another spot. So
Yeah.
we've covered Wicker Park, we've covered West Town, we talked about East Ukrainian Village, we talked about Fulton Market. Okay, we'll top it off because this is one place I really overlooked on the west side, which my California family will murder me. The Filipinos will have a knife at my throat. Chicago, and we'll end on this one. Chicago is home to the only Filipino restaurant in the world with a Michelin star. It is called Kasama, Kasama, and it is run by this beautiful couple that he's Filipino, she's Korean, I believe, and the accolades, the reviews, the awards that this place has been racking. They've only been open a few years, but this is what I love about my city so much, is we are constantly re-energizing, reinvigorating. We're always adding to the tapestry, the big quilt that is Chicago, that started, long ago. We've got our Italian, we've got our Polish, we've got our Czech, we've got our German, and now we've got our Ethiopian, we've got our Filipino, we've got Mexican, obviously we've always had Puerto Rican. So we're always adding to this, and Kasama's amazing. Kasama it's a longanisa Italian beef sandwich. So longanisa is basically the Maxwell Street Polish of the Philippines, and you can, like, you go to Jim's Original Chicago, you can get a Polish sausage inside of an Italian beef. So what they did is they did their own. They did the longanisa sausage, the Filipino sausage, in an Italian beef. Amazing. And they do the giardiniera on it too. Giardiniera, which is the spicy pickled vegetables that we put on everything in Chicago. So they've got that. They do amazing pastries. I'm not a sweets guy, but when I go, they have an ube huckleberry tart, and they have a sort of a white chocolate blueberry tart that's amazing. You can get the Filipino breakfast, which is garlic fried rice with an egg, tocino, which is Filipino bacon, or the longanisa, which is a Filipino sausage, and amazing, absolutely amazing. Kasama. It's on Augusta, and Augusta and Winchester, West Side. It's in East Ukrainian Village.
Okay.
It's a brick building. All the brick is painted black, and it's just their sign outside. They have been absolutely crushing it. What's amazing? They have a tasting menu that will take you 6 months to get in on, but during the day they do like breakfast and lunch, and then they do this really, really exclusive tasting menu that my California family has been trying to get in on. Okay. I just go during the day, get the Filipino breakfast. We get they have an ube. Like, ube is Filipino purple yam. It is sort of like the vanilla of the Philippines. They do all like you can do like an ube latte, which is delicious. There's everything from ube ice cream and ube cookies. If you've never had ube, try it. But Kasama, it is a Michelin star rated gem right on Augusta in Chicago. If you've never had Filipino food, I highly recommend you go there. It is pricey. It's
got a Michelin star.
It's got a Michelin star.
But it's pricey in Chicago.
If
it was in Los Angeles,
it would be,
Right.
If it was in LA, if it was in New York, you'd probably double or triple your price.
And that's another thing, just real quick.
Yeah.
So my buddies and I went to the bar because I went back home for like a grad party or something, and we got like 7 beers, 7 green tea shots, and it was like $30, and I was like, is this right?
Right.
Here that would be,
oh my god,
I don't know, 135.
I mean, again, I mentioned in the last episode, we went to Tango Sur, which is my Argentine steakhouse, one of my favorite restaurants in the world in Chicago. It's on Southport in Edgewater, and we got out under $250. There were 10 of us. I mean,
incredible.
Try doing that in LA. There's
Good luck.
way. It's not. I mean, there's great Argentine food, Lala's on Melrose, but prices are very different. Last thing. I promise we'll wrap this up. So because I brought up Kasama, which is more high end, it's a Michelin star rated restaurant. Maybe it's not necessarily something that is necessarily affordable for everybody. I think it's something everyone should try once. In the same neighborhood, in Ukrainian Village, West Town area, there's a place called Uncle Mike's. Uncle Mike's is a breakfast joint that is open from 6 to 3, and that is affordable Filipino breakfast. You go in and you get your tocino, you get your longanisa, you get your eggs, your garlic fried rice. They start you with it's is basically the Filipino version of egg lemon soup, the Greek egg lemon soup.
Yeah.
It's called lugaw. It's basically chicken soup, but made porridge style with rice, with a little bit of toasted garlic and chopped green onion on top. That's how you start it. Then you get your breakfast, and then they finish up with something called champurrado. Champurrado is basically a chocolate rice porridge. And if that doesn't sound good, trust me, it tastes amazing. It is super affordable. I think you could probably get out of there under $15 a person.
Okay.
Honestly, you just get the Filipino breakfast and a coffee, and the coffee is amazing. It's dark matter coffee, matter brewed in
I hear
Chicago.
Filipino I'm not a coffee guy, but I hear Filipino coffee is like...
I mean, I can only talk about what my Filipino family makes, and they brew jet fuel, which fits right in with the Chicago way.
Right.
So it's, but yeah, we'll do an entire show about coffee, because it's, in addition to getting, going and getting like a great lavazza from Italy, getting Turkish coffee, Armenian coffee, doing, I just thought, what was it? Dark Matter Coffee is that's a local brand in Chicago, and so many people serve. There's a place called Standing Passengers, also on the west side. Amazing coffee. Okay, I swear to God, we're done this time. So yeah, that is. But the food. Part two. And I think the plan for us with this pod is every episode we'll touch on food. I don't know how we would do a Chicago pod, not talking about at least a couple joints.
Right.
But yeah, those of you that are watching this, if there's a place we haven't mentioned, because I just remembered Palermo's on the south side that I haven't been to, and I think maybe 6-7 years, and that place is a great joint. Tell us places that you want us to talk about. Tell us places you want to go visit, because the goal of this as well is to be I want it to be a travel blog too. We travel within the city in Chicago. Give us recommendations. Tell us where you love to go for all your Chicago food. Or whatever your ethnic fare is. I found out we have a Georgian restaurant downtown. Is the country of Georgia we have. There's nothing Chicago doesn't have. We love our food, and all that. We'll do coffee, we'll do drinks, we'll do neighborhoods. Is there a shout out neighborhood? Is there a neighborhood that you think is undersold or unfairly maligned that you think deserves some love? Because I know that I got plenty. Because I lived in all of them. And thank you guys for watching.
For sure.
We love it. Please like, comment, subscribe, help us build the love for Chicago and all things Chicago. Share with your friends. And tell us what you want us to talk about.
Follow us on Instagram too.
We'll have an Instagram page by this time. I got a 22-year-old over here. He'll take care of that. I'm like an ape around the monolith. How does this work? All right, guys. Thanks for liking, subscribing, following, watching, and we'll see you next time. In the meantime, if you're gonna do it the Chicago way.